Yo, 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 what up, guys? This is episode number 70 of the Lenko Show, where we talk about all things to do with human health, performance, elite mindset, mentality, anything we can possibly think of. We're just literally scratching the surface. So this is episode 70. And I mentioned in the last episode, we're going to be talking about 8 ways to increase competitiveness. And my bro, Chris, is here again. What's up, bro?
Hello, everybody. Alex has had a very hard time doing his best to wait for me to actually make it along to this. So I apologize to him and I apologize to all of you guys, but he will do what it takes to make sure that this is out on time.
And that right there, ladies and gents, is called ownership. That is textbook, Chris. Textbook.
I will not be sorry. I will be better.
That's all we ask. That's all that's required. There's no need for apology. Just do better. I already understand that. And I know that's how we operate. I know that's how we work. So I mentioned this is episode number 70, and it's quite fitting, actually. One of my clients is 70 this week. I know I just told you that off air.
Happy birthday, Neil.
Yeah, shout out to Neil. Man's still training multiple times a week, goes out playing golf, tearing it up, and he's 70 years old. And just goes to show that realistically, if you don't want to fall off a cliff, you don't have to. Keep grinding, keep getting after it. Live as hard as you can, as long as you can. Train, stay fit, stay healthy. Your lifestyle will be a bigger dictator than anything else as to your quality of life later on. So,
and I just ask, does he ever say to you, my metabolism slowed down now that I'm older?
No.
Interesting.
No. And I think the thing is because he hasn't slowed down. He's just kept on going. I think that's the big thing. People think, oh, my metabolism slows down. Oh, my hormones this, my hormones that. Well, right, let's just take the fucking basics. Look at your lifestyle. You have slowed down, you fucking potato. Go and exercise. Go and train and eat normally. Like, eat well.
It is it.
Look after yourself.
They stop doing the shit that they're normally active doing, and then they think that they've just got older and so it's harder. No, you just got more shit going on that's not the shit you need to be doing. That's it.
It's classic dad bod, isn't it? Or new mum syndrome. Look at Tia Claire Toomey. Fuck me. She's still got abs. Did she slow down? Not one bit. Did she change what she was doing? No. Literally probably had abs all the way through her pregnancy, the full 9 months. Gave birth next day, probably back in the gym. Still had abs. Just don't skip a beat. Don't change what you do. I think a lot of people just kind of like hit certain milestones, whether it's life circumstances or even age circumstances. Imagine if you didn't track birthdays. Would you do things differently? Would you mentally be any different? You'd be like, I don't know how old I am. I'm just living. Just live.
Did you see that research shows that people have their crises and change themselves at the years where their second digit or even third digit, if you have a crisis at that age, is 8 or 9, because you're coming towards the end of a decade. So when you're like 18 or 19 and you're going to go into your 20s, it's like, oh, I'm going to be 20. And the same when you're 28, 29, you're going to be 30. And the same when you're 38, 39, you're going to be 40. Yeah, because it's impending. It's that running away from the pain, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, it's coming. I need to do something.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of 24, 23, 25-year-olds that are just being a bit whimsical and lackadaisical about everything and just plodding your way through, you need to convince yourself that you're 29.
Wow. I did not know that. I like that. There you go. Now you know it. Now you're conscious of it. You can just on the fly. You can sort your shit out ahead of time.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming for us all.
So we want to talk. We're going to be talking today about the 8 ways to increase competitiveness. So this is perfect for anyone who is a coach or a parent, or is potentially a future parent that wants to raise competitive, athletic, fit, mentally stable, sound kids. Which mentally stable people seem to be in short supply these days. After another argument I was in last week, but we'll skip over that.
We'll touch that on the next one.
We're going to talk about how to increase competitiveness, because no matter what walk of life you go into, you're always competing. If you don't think you are, you're always competing. You're going into a job interview, you're competing with someone else. You go into the sporting arena, you are competing with someone else. So even if it's not particularly obvious, competition is everywhere, day in, day out. It's survival of the fittest, most adaptable. Like, you have to be competitive to be able to be forward thinking, be tactical, and move forward in life. Like, that's what it's all about. Bettering yourself is competition. And one of the things that kind of cops up first that we're going to go through before we get into those 8 ways that you can increase your competitiveness is one particular way in which I think you can decrease it. And one way that I've read this twice in 2 different ways. So what I'm talking about is normalizing failure. Now, I think if you're in an environment where you normalize failure and you accept it's okay to be second, it's okay to be third, it's okay to be last, you are dead fucking wrong. Do you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I think first of all, you're shifting your focus from winning to failing or losing, which you might not be like thinking, oh, I want to fail. But if you're focusing on what you're going to do if you fail, you're focusing on failing. So you're more likely to bring that situation, that scenario about. And then you're desensitizing yourself from the significance of winning because, again, you're focusing on failing. So, yeah.
Well, I think we kind of covered off in the last 2 episodes that one of the things that makes you a more competitive person, or the traits of a more competitive person, is the belief that they can actually change a scenario to win. And if you've got a long history of losing and fucking up and not being successful, we know that winning is a habit, then your level of self-belief to actually influence a scenario to win is going to be diminished. If you're never exposed to winning, if you're not a regular winner, if you're not consistent at it, your self-belief is going to be lower because you just think, oh, well, what's the point? We're just going to lose anyway. And therefore, you're not going to try. So your level of competitive spirit drops through the floor, which is not what we want. We want this weird, unwavering, massively egotistical self-belief that even if you're like 5-0 down in the 90th minute, you can still go and do something and win it and turn the game around. And I did read it the other way, which is kind of understanding that it is part of the process. And if you do lose or if you do fail, it's simply that, like, it's part of the process. And by that definition, it's okay. But for me, I still don't like the idea of normalizing it. I hate it.
I don't think so. I don't think normalizing it is right. But I do think there has to be an element of, okay, there's definitely something we can take from this. There's something that either we did or we did not do, or I did not do, that has led to this scenario. And I guess people say about like learning from your mistakes, learn from your failures in that sense. But again, that's not normalizing it. That would be focusing on winning still, because it's like, okay, what could we do better to win?
Yeah.
Whereas when you normalize failure, what you're doing, I guess you can even look at it from a neuroscientific perspective. You could say, what we're doing is we're learning to become comfortable, and that's where the brain wants to stay anyway. So as soon as you're comfortable losing and failing, which ties a lot alongside like not even trying and not putting effort in and things like that, because why would you try if you think you're going to lose anyway? Then you're just going to stay there.
Yeah.
And you're going to make it much, much harder for when you actually do want to try and win.
Yeah, so I think we need to just change the term from normalize. Don't normalize it whatsoever, but understand it might be part of the process. See it as an opportunity to grow, because if you do lose, if you do fail, it means that there is a level that you haven't yet attained. So you can push to that. You can stretch yourself. You can practice, train, learn, develop, grow, go again, so that next time you don't fail, or you fail a little bit worse. And then eventually you keep chipping away, you keep trying, and then you are successful. But you need to believe that you can actually overcome the obstacle in the first place, and believe that you can actually win it and achieve it. So, with that being said, 8 ways to increase competitiveness. We're going to go into each one. I'm just going to rattle them off now, and then we'll dig into each one, or if there's any in particular that you like, bro, then we will sit on that one first. So first one, early exposure to competitive environments. Number 2, competitive role models. Number 3, encouragement and praise. Huge. Praise and reward effort. We've spoken about grit. We've spoken about delayed gratification, things like that. Encouragement and praise and verbal instruction given in the right way at the right time. Absolutely huge. Goal setting. Number 4, resilience building. Number 5, understand pain is part of the process. Pain is weakness leaving the body. What film was that from? Do you remember? I'm sure it was Dwayne Johnson that said it. Do you remember the film it's from?
Pain is weakness leaving the body.
Yeah.
Is it Pain and Gain?
Don't know. Can you find out? Do you want to find out? So I'm no doubt someone listening to this will be like, I know it. You're a pair of thickheads. I can't believe you don't know it. Anyway, resilience building. Then positive competition. Feedback and reflection. Again, look back at your performances, understand how to improve. And then finally, structured competition. Go on. Have you found it?
Tom Hardy in This Means War.
Was it Tom Hardy? Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
I don't remember it, but
I don't know why I thought it was Dwayne Johnson. I love that line anyway. I love that line. So let's go into early exposure first. So as a coach, as a parent, encourage competitive environments, get them into organized sports like this. All this participate, like, before I go off on one, Chris, go on, just participation in sports.
Oh, I'd like to hear your take on it.
Man, are you going to get me in trouble? All this bollocks of like participation medals for just turning up and a big well done pat on the back. Yeah, there's your medal, and not actually rewarding anyone. Like I saw something recently, a few months ago, you know, when everyone got their GCSE results and stuff like that, and people were getting told off for parents putting their kids' results of like 8s and 9s on social media. And it's like, great job. Fucking love that. Well done. You've got a success. You've got a kid that's worked hard, studied hard, got good results. Shout about it. And people were actually complaining that not enough people were going and putting, oh, I'm so proud of my kid. They got a 4 or a 5. Fuck your 4s and 5s. What have they actually gained there? Like bang average, celebrating average. Man,
I think it's a tough one because you obviously did very, very well in school, and I did well in school. But some people,
but it's also pretty irrelevant. I would like to make that clear. Like in terms of any kids listening to this and parents of kids, understand that if you're going through primary school, SATs, GCSEs in high school, and even your A-levels, and possibly even your degree, your life experience will trump whatever grade you get, no matter what. If you work hard outside of school in any particular area, you will be successful. Literally just find what you're passionate about. Find what you're interested in. Don't become one of those turds that floats about society just being a dredge on everybody else, but go and commit to something and absolutely nail it. Like if you want to be a world-class YouTuber and you want to start your own YouTube channel, like talking about, I don't know, like anxiety or like ADHD related things, or what else? Like even cabinet making, fucking hell, like literally how to smash apart a chair, or like simply breaking things. Like if you want to start a YouTube channel doing something like that, I don't know how that's useful, but entertaining people, like go and do it. And go and be awesome at it. Go and be world class at it. Don't just end up in the fucking drudgery that everybody else is in and the run of the mill day to day, like under the thumb of a higher power, like a boss or the government, and just being a goody two shoes, turn up to work, get paid, and then just not actually further or advance yourself at any point in time whatsoever. Don't be one of those people. That do you know what? That's probably my number one thing as to why I love what we do. And I love that we do this. Because it's all us. Like there's no one. I can record this and post it, and there is no one who can tell me off. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. I can't believe you're saying that about trans people. Get out of women's sports, you pricks. Take your penis and get out.
What was that? That must be, we've lasted what, maybe 14 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah,
No,
I
but
don't.
no, sorry, just to take it away from the trans and stuff like that. I agree with you. I think, yeah, just go and do whatever you want to do. Your grades aren't really that important. And I also agree in terms of the participation shit. Like, I think they just need to fuck off. Get rid of participation medals. I think people should be rewarded. No, they shouldn't. They should be not rewarded. They should be motivated or praised for giving something a go if they thought they were going to be shit or thought they were going to be useless or were really fucking scared of going after it and getting it done anyway. But they shouldn't be like rewarded for doing it.
Yep.
It ties into what we've said about like encouragement and praise. But I don't think a participation medal is encouragement or praise. No one, if I said to you, this is a really bad example because I already know that what you're going to say here. If I said to you, Alex, you didn't win today, you didn't come second, you didn't come third, you didn't come fourth, you weren't in the top 10, but you did show up, and that's what really matters. So here is 56th place participation medal. What would you say? Or think?
I think I'd just be absolutely stunned. I'd be like, well, what the fuck was I here for? Like, imagine doing a cross-country race. You've like as a kid, right? Imagine like a 10-year-old kid, right? You do cross-country. It's probably like a mile, maybe 2 miles long. Doesn't take them too long, but 15 minutes or so of running, maybe 20 minutes of hard running. The kids at the front, absolutely gassed. Even the kids in 10th, 15th, absolutely gassed. And understand, like, some people are better than others. The people at the front have done the work. Like, they're either, at that age, they're either naturally gifted or they've practiced it, they've done it relentlessly, religiously, continuously, habitually, and they are just very, very good at it. Reward them for their efforts in practice and in the work up to it, not just in the event. But to go and give it and say, like, everyone gets equal reward when someone has clearly bust a gut either in the event itself or in the build up to it to train for it, to put them all on a level playing field and go, oh, there you go. That has got to be one of the wokest left wing, most stupid liberal ideas I have ever met in my entire life. What an absolute load of complete and utter nonsense. Because where is the encouragement to push harder? Where's the encouragement to grow and go again? Like, if you came second, well, what have you come second for? You've got the same prize as the person in first and the same prize as the person in fucking last. And everybody in the race knows who's won. Everybody in the race knows who's come second and third. Like, it's a natural competition is like naturally in us. We need to draw it out. We need to play with it. We need to embrace it and accept it's part of human nature and roll with it. Don't just try and make people who are fucking average comfortable.
Yeah, and I don't think it does. Like, I don't think like, has anyone ever gone, yes, I got a participation medal, like, and really meant it? I don't think so.
No. Well, it's like, if it's to make people feel more comfortable about participating in the first place, I still don't understand that, because it's okay to feel anxious about performing. Like, if I was asked to get up and sing, I'd be like music class. If I had to play a bit on the keyboard or whatever, I don't know how to play the fucking keyboard. I don't know what I'm doing. Keep hitting the DJ button again and again and again, or the fucking cymbal noise or whatever it is. I have no idea what I'm doing. So people have different competencies, different capabilities, and like, you don't need to put things in place to simply make people feel good. People need to understand that anxiety in sport, anxiety in life is always going to be there, and overcoming it is always going to be part of it. Like, that's part of human growth, right? I have no idea how we've ended up on such a tangent there, but early exposure. Anyway, number one. Number two, we're going to go through supportive role models. So this is where it's important to have access to role models who demonstrate healthy competition, and children and young adults who see adults or peers enjoying and succeeding in competitive activities are more likely to embrace competitiveness. So this is where I think it's always important to support a winning team, a successful team. Be a fan of someone who's a fucking winner. Don't just go and support losers your entire life. If you do that, what are you learning from them? What are you gaining from them? Because they are going to be heavily, heavily influential. And this is where it is so important, parents and coaches, listen up, in your own lives, you also need to be winners. Whether it's in business, sport, athletically, or just simply looking after yourself and your own fitness, have a winning mentality and a winning attitude, because your kids are going to be the biggest fans and the biggest supporters of that. And they're going to see it and pick up on every single thing, and it rubs off big time.
Yeah, I think with this one, it's like to just provide a bit more back to your point, like picking people who are actually winners. If whoever your role model is, take a look at why you actually idolize them. What is it about them? Is it things that actually have no relevance to you? So is it things like, oh, they look really good, or oh, they have lots of followers on Instagram and shit like that? Things that are relevant toward skills and effort and being a good person and things like that. And it's okay if you do value those people at the very start, but at some point you then have to realize that's not benefiting you in any way. And it's the same thing as like going to work. Like you go to work every day. Are you doing it because it benefits you, or are you doing it for the sake of doing it because you think you have to do it? Can you find something better that will provide more for you and more for your life and everything else? If the answer is yes, then go out and do that. Like you don't have to always support the same person, follow the same person, follow the same value, blah, blah, blah. If your shit's broken, fix it.
Yeah. That is, you could have that on a billboard somewhere. Just on the way to the traffic center, like massive bright lights. You know the kind of shit that I'm talking, like not it's not advertising. It's like it's like it's literally there for the purpose and the intent of blinding you whilst you're driving. That's how bright I'm talking this needs to be. Is if your shit's broken, fix it. Like
that's the title of episode 70.
And I think if your shit's broken, fix it. I love it. Because like most people, if you break a part of your body, if you break a bone, it's pretty obvious. Like there's intense pain. You go, oh, that really hurts. It shouldn't look like that. It shouldn't feel like that. Let's probably go and fix that. Just get to the hospital and have an operation, right? It gets fixed. Whereas emotionally and mentally, the problem is we don't tend to acknowledge what's going on. We don't spend enough time thinking about it. Like, and all these support groups are getting set up and everything like that. And that's great where people, but I think you need to be careful. And I know you've had an experience of this recently, but you need to be careful of being in an environment where you are literally just sounding off and you're using it as a crux to feel comfortable again. Because if it doesn't come with, like you said before, if it doesn't come with a plan and then action, you're going to get stuck in the same comfortable cycle. And as much as you say, oh, but I'm not comfortable, it's miserable, blah, 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 you've found comfort in your misery. Get uncomfortable. And if your shit's broken, fix it. Number 3, right? I want to ask you a question on this because I'm trying to think back to kind of growing up and as kids. But when it comes to encouragement and praise, did you get much of it? How important was it? Did you recognize any? Like, what was your situation?
I don't think so. I'm sure we did, but if we did, it's not something that I focus on. My drivers and my motivation was I always recall, no matter what I did, I should have been doing more, or there was always something else to be done. But when it's done effectively, which I guess is the same for all of these things, and if it's done sparingly, which it definitely was, I definitely did get encouragement and praise because I fucking performed my ass off. It was way more effective. So it wasn't like, oh, well done, you showed up today, Chris. Well done, mate. You managed to lace your own boots. You took a corner today. Well done. You were running up and down. It was never like that. It was, if there was a lot of intensity or when I was tired, I did something that's like was fucking crazy, even while I was really tired or whatever the fuck it was. If there was something to do with an effort level or anything like that, there'd be some level of encouragement or praise after the fact, followed by usually in some form of fucking shit sandwich or something like that, where, oh, but by the way, you need to work on this and you need to work on this.
Yeah.
So it's still there a little bit, but there's always like, what's the next thing? And I think I said this on a previous one. Maybe I just said it to you recently. I came on as a sub because I was, did I have a foot injury or something? I think I damaged my foot. And I came on against a team called Farnworth. I think I was 14 or 13 at this
This is
time.
where you scored 8 or 9 goals.
So I scored 8 goals.
Yeah.
And we won 8-7. I scored 8. And then the first thing that was said to me when I came off the pitch was, if you'd have scored another one, you would have had 3 hat-tricks.
And you probably missed the sitter as well.
Which was like, but so to give more context to that, because that's just a fact, obviously I would have. He said something about my foot, and if I'd have just started the game, I could have had 3 hat-tricks. And in my head, I'm like, well, fuck, why didn't I start? I should have just started the game. I played like whatever it was, 50 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. Like, surely I would have been. But yeah, so in my head, it's like, okay, if there's anything that's slightly wrong and I think I might be able to still play on it, this is what I took from it. I should just play. And if it becomes unplayable, then I can remove myself. Because at that age, I mean, when you're scoring 8 goals a game, you do have that feeling of, I definitely could do whatever I want with this game. And we definitely could win if I do what I can do. So, yeah, it's definitely there, but it was sparing. And it's definitely not what I focused on. But I absolutely believe as a coach, it should be prevalent, it should be present, but I just think it needs to be not microdosed, but used in the right ways, not like participation medals and shit. Like if someone's doing something really, really well and they're putting a lot of effort and they're doing more so than you would expect, fucking let them know, let people know. Because I don't think it takes a lot. I don't think it takes a lot for some people. Some people get none, like, and if they do get some, they don't recognize it. So when it's given in the right way, and they actually get a chance to recognize it. This is my experience in coaching when you're dealing with clients and everyday people. They just need a fucking fraction and it's enough to ignite a fire in some people.
Yeah. I'd go along with that, and I'd go along with kind of that same thing. Growing up as kids, I think we were pretty equal on that, and parents did a good job where it was kind of, we're going to acknowledge and celebrate the success. Like, 'cause I think that was a huge factor. And I think this is where it's important to have someone there to celebrate with you, like seeing dad at my American football game, seeing you there, seeing the rest of the family there. Even growing up as kids, like if we won the league or if we won a tournament, like you could see how happy everyone was. Like you could see how exciting it was, and you could actually enjoy that whole situation and that whole scenario. So you need to have someone there, or even if it's not a parent, even if it's not someone from the family, even if it's just like your coaches, you need to be able to see how important those achievements are and those moments are to other people. So I think that encouragement and praise from that standpoint is huge. And at the very least, praise the efforts as well. Like we've spoken about how to build grit, determination, and drive to succeed and go again. Like massively, every single time, praise the effort, praise the drive of the team, praise the never give up, the hard work. Because I think that was something that's been drilled into us from day one. And then also the team first aspect. Like there is nothing more important than the team and the team winning. If the team wins and you put everything on the line and you do something to help the team, that's perfect. If you do something to hurt the team in pursuit of individual success, that's not a good value to have. So understand those things. Now, number 4 is goal setting. So we need to teach goal setting skills and help people set specific, achievable goals in competitive context. And the pursuit of these goals will fuel that competitive drive. So we spoke before we came onto this about this particular one and how it's important to have those little levels that you can step up to and chip away at. Now, when you were a kid growing up, was that in the forefront of your mind, or was it literally a case of win the league, win the tournament, win the next game?
Yeah, I think it was more. I'm not very. What's the term? I don't. For me personally, I'm not always setting like 3 month goals, 6 month goals, 9 month goals. It was very much okay. Win. I'm going to be the fucking best trainer today. I'm going to be. I'm going to win. I'm going to score 3 goals today. I'm going to like focus on getting this today. I'm going to make sure I score these today. I'm going to make sure I'm get this many tackles today. It was always win, 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 day in day out. Um, Knowing that in the long run, those daily wins,
Yeah.
obviously there's a compound effect and they add up to something long term. So it wasn't when I was younger, obviously you know me firsthand, I was very immature. There was something there
I'm glad you
that
finally admit it.
there was something there where I knew, okay, if I put the effort in and we win and I do this and I do that, long term, these will be the results. But it wasn't, that's not what I was thinking consciously day in, day out. Day in, day out, it was right. This is the training session today. I'm going to be the best person doing this thing in this training session,
Mhm.
or I'm going to be the best person in this training game today, or I'm going to score 7 goals in this particular match today, or what have you. What about for yourself? What do you reckon?
So I think I always, and even to this day, I kind of have that vision in my head and written down and pictures visualized, like the whole lot stored away in like little folders on my phone and on my laptop. Pictures of what I want to achieve, where I want to be, things I want to have, things I want to do. All of that is locked away. Like I've been through that process and I regularly dip into it and visit it. Like if like people say they lack motivation, have a fucking vision. Like, what motivation are you talking about lacking? If you've got a vision, that's everything you need. That's all your motivation. Because if you can't visualize something compelling and exciting for your future, no wonder you're not feeling motivated to go and do the difficult things. So have that overall broad vision, and then the process from then on is every single day win, do what needs to be done, do the little individual tasks, keep ticking them off, and that's going to move you forwards. Like for American football season now and the level that we're playing at, we're in the playoffs, we're in the national final again, playing for Great Britain. Every single game is a must-win game. Like there is no room or margin for error. There is no lose and oh well, better luck next time. There is no kind of it's not like you can go and lose one game in the Premier League and like well, losing a game in the Premier League isn't like losing a game in our situation in American football at this point in time. Like it's literally every single step now is knockout football. So there is no room for slip ups. There's no room for what a shame, unlucky. Oh well, go again next time. Like that's it. Lose and done. So it is literally just purely about winning and having that in your head and being able to execute that every single day, because that's when winning is decided. Yeah, there might be things happen on the day, little bits of luck, but if you've done enough and you've done the groundwork, you can be mentally stable and confident and secure in yourself, knowing that you've done what you needed to do to be in the best position possible. And then whatever happens from then on, it is what it is. So
I think it's really important for people to understand that that is what true confidence is. True confidence isn't going out there knowing that you are going to fucking destroy the opponent. It's knowing that you have done everything, or at least nearly everything that you could have done to put yourself in the best possible position to perform the best you can on the day. And then it's not normalizing failure, but it's knowing that because you're in the best position you can possibly be in, you can go in with the belief that you are going to win and that you are going to score or that you're going to do whatever, and understand that it is what it is no matter what. You do your absolute fucking best,
yeah,
all the effort in. You might win, you might fucking lose. Like
yeah,
if it's a team game, like you might have done everything you could have done. The rest of your team might not necessarily have done what they could have done, but you're a fucking winner on that day. Your team's not won, but there's a good fucking point to learn from that.
yeah. And that kind of fits with number 5 here, which is resilience building. So teaching resilience and being able to cope with failure. I think coping with failure is a far better strategy than normalizing it. So understand, obviously, we just said there, if you do all the groundwork, you understand like on any given day, the result can be whatever it's going to be. But understanding that losing, setbacks, like it's part of the competitive journey. You're playing against someone else or another team that is trying to prepare equally as well, if not better than you are. Like they are doing their very, very best to beat you. And you have to understand that there might just be nothing you can do about it. Like if you've given it everything and they've given it everything, they might come out on top. That might just be the way it happens and the way that the chips fall. So if you understand that, you're much more likely to bounce back and come through and, be able to go again like next season or in the next game and recover from your losses. Have you ever had a go on?
Sorry, just before you ask that question, one thing that I think is really, really good, and I think this is massive for clients and general people if they're listening as well. When you were saying about like having a vision versus motivation, so Mark Devine, I forget the name of his book. Maybe it was The Way of the SEAL, Navy SEAL guy. That's what brought into my head when you were saying about that. But he was, I remember doing some leadership and personal like development work with him. Not like I wasn't in front of him personally, but it was like some online course curriculum thing that he was doing. And he was talking about feeding the sheep versus feeding the wolf. And the way he explained it was when you get in situations where you would normally be nervous or fearful or what have you, and obviously you're hit with the physiology that comes with that, you're either nervous or fearful. He explained how if you spend most of your time feeding your sheep, which is essentially, he was talking about like fight and flight, and are you resilient and do you stick around and face up against the things that make you worried and nervous and stuff like that, or do you just fuck off and run? He explained how if you spend more time feeding the sheep becomes bigger and more powerful, and the sheep's more likely to win. So when you let yourself off the hook, and when you let yourself get away with shit, or when you decide that it's okay to not go and not perform and blah blah blah, or not put your effort in, your sheep's becoming more powerful. Whereas he says the opposite, obviously, when you feed the wolf, which is like fighting your fears and going against stuff and putting effort in and going the extra mile, etc., that becomes more powerful. And he basically explains how it becomes like subconscious, like habitual behavior when you're then put in that another new environment, whatever it might be, where your resilience will be tested. And would you normally be nervous here? Say you went to, I don't know, what the fuck did you say earlier? Someone asked you to get up and dance in front of everyone. If you're always, let's just say as a scenario, if you're always feeding your wolf, you're more than likely just going to go for it anyway, because that's the kind of person you are, because that is your default fallback. You know what? I don't give a fuck. I feel the fear. I just go and get it done anyway. Shout out to Susan Jeffers and her book. But yeah, just a good little analogy there for people.
Yeah. And then
default.
What I can't even remember the question I was going to ask you now. Oh, I was going to ask you, like, has there ever been a situation or a scenario in competition where you've lost and it's really stuck with you?
All of them. All of them. Do you want to know something really funny, Alex?
Always, I like funny things. Believe it or not. I might have the personality of a plain slice of bread, but I like funny things.
Let me tell you this, right? So this is full transparency for everyone here. So I came second at a CrossFit competition. And do you know why I came second, Alex? Because I chose to.
Oh.
So listen to this, right? Before the competition started, I thought, I think I might be in a lower division than I should be here. I think I should be in the elite division, the top elite. And I wasn't. I was one lower. And already I felt really awkward about it. And I only realized this after the fact.
Is this a CrossFit comp?
Yeah. So, yeah. And I performed and did what I had to do. And as the day was going on, I was like, you've done CrossFit WODs. CrossFit WODs are hard. CrossFit WODs in competition are designed to test you to your maximal, and they will fucking destroy it. Now, it doesn't matter what level you go in at, what standard you go in at. Like, I was thereabouts at the top of this particular standard, but I knew with my training that I probably could have been in the top division. Now, I'd qualified for it whilst recovering from an injury and recovering from an illness. So these are all the excuses now. It's like, well, this is why I'm in this division, blah, blah, blah. It's not like I'd chosen to. But as it got towards final, I thought, does it look fucking really bad if I just go and smoke this now? If I just go and absolutely destroy this event? And I looked at it, and it wasn't necessarily an event that I should have just gone out and smashed. But the second I thought that, in my head, I thought, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I thinking stupid things like this? That can be shit that you worry about after you've gone and fucking destroyed everyone. Like, you go out there and you just fucking win it. And guess where I finished in the final? Second. And guess how I felt after the final? Don't get me wrong, I was fucked, but I was fucked after the first event. Like, I probably could have got about a minute and a half faster. And I only thought about afterwards, after the fact, I was doing like a little feedback and a little bit of like, how do I feel like I did and shit like this. And I looked at it and I went, why did I come second? Why did I not win it when I reckon I could have won it? And my only answer was, I fucking should have won it. And I chose not to.
Ooh, I never knew that. Wow. Would you do that again?
What, choose not to win?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. No. So this is the thing, right? So you will understand. So I know you'll be like, that's like your worst nightmare. But understand from this perspective, I would rather have been in the top division and come last than be in a division that I should not have been in and win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think then that's just like the weird sport of CrossFit, isn't it? Like the fact that you can kind of pick your own category and just it's like a man deciding that he's going to go and play women's cricket. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I see what you're saying. Like, you don't want to go and be that guy that rolls with the chicks kind of thing. So like,
well, I never said that.
And this is where like the competition aspect is important. So like number 6 is positive competition. So you need to be in a competition or an environment which is actually suitable to your level. So like there would be no glory in Lionel Messi playing National League level football in the UK because he'd probably just get smashed every single week. People are trying to whack him. And then even if he does something awesome, people are like, oh, well, you're Lionel Messi. Oh, you shouldn't even be at this level. Like, it doesn't matter what he does. Like, you can't possibly theoretically win. It's like if he goes and wins the league for if he signed for Bury tomorrow and they went and trounced everyone in the division, people would just be looking at it going, well, yeah, you should do. You got Lionel Messi. Like, the achievement is irrelevant. So, yeah, you need to be in an appropriate level of competition. Now, positive competition, this is a scenario, I think, if you've got a team or if you've got siblings or whatever it is, you need a little bit of rivalry there where it's kind of friendly and the goal is to actually improve each other's performance, improve your own performance and kind of push each other along. And I feel like in a team environment, like in American football, it's perfect because you can have a really, really good offense and a really, really good defense. And if both of those groups turn up week in, week out, both of them continuously elevate their level, the entire team gets better and benefits from it. So that is what I'm talking about when it comes to positive competition. So set up drills, set up practices, set up an environment where people in the team are actually pushing each other to improve and get better. Then number 7, we're just going to skip through these last couple now because we are running out of time pretty sharpish. Feedback and reflections. This is where encouraging self-assessment, reflecting on your wins, reflecting on your losses. Like, this is where people say, oh, you can learn so much more from losing. No, you can't. You can learn exactly the same amount from winning, as long as you are conscious and you analyze and reflect your performance, what you did well, what you didn't do so well, or what sucked, and you can get better from that point of view. So you need to be consciously aware of your performance every single time. Is that something you do? Like, obviously you did in that competition where you're reflecting on, oh, should I even be in this category? I feel like no.
Yeah, so there's probably been the area for most of my growth there because, like I said, even when winning, I think that was the crucial thing that you said there. I think a lot of people look at it as like, oh, failing is important. You do learn from your failures, but one of the crucial things that you've said numerous times is you learn just as much from winning as long as the reflection's the same. And I think, like I said about our experiences growing up with praise and stuff like that, we were winning a fucking shit ton. We were winning a lot. And we were still doing the reflection and the, right, what could I have done better? What should I have done here? What would I have done here? What would have been a better thing to do? Blah, 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 blah. So naturally, I do that all the time. I do that all the time. And that's where, most of the growth is made.
Sorry, I'm just chomping on an ice cube. Huh.
As you do.
I wasn't expecting to stop talking. So this is where I think sometimes it's maybe a little bit more effort to learn from winning because the level for improvement isn't as obvious. So you have to be creative and visualize, right, what would we do in a scenario where we're playing against someone far better that can actually stop that? And then you have to kind of create these situations and scenarios in your own head about how you can improve and what needs to improve, what needs to be better, and how you could tactically overcome someone else. This is where I think some of the very best coaches in any sport and any field are incredibly creative. They have leaders and players in the team that see the same things and they're incredibly creative. They're very good at problem solving. They're so good at problem solving, they actually create problems before they arise, fix it so that when it does arise, it's not a problem. I feel like if you can do that as an athlete, if you can do that as a coach, you're going to massively improve your chances of winning. Now, the last one is structured competitions. And I know we've already spoken briefly. I know I let my feelings be known about participation sports, but this is where structured competitions, fair competitions, and I'm talking men versus men and women versus women, is very important. Because if you're in a different age category or a different weight class or a different sex group, it becomes very, very unfair and very, very askew. Like you need to be in a competition, in a competitive environment where it's actually mitigated and it is fair. This is why we have age groups for kids growing up. It's why we have different sexes. It's why we have males versus males, why we have females versus females. It's not difficult.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that we spoke about a few weeks ago, I know I definitely said this, was like I'd had a conversation with a client about like, do you still get the endorphins when you train? And I was thinking about it. I was like, do you know what? I don't particularly feel fucking great when I train. Like if you're training for a specific stimulus, you're not exercising. You are doing a form of exercise, but training is it's growth, it's development, it's uncomfortable, it's stress on the body, it's stress on the mind, it's stress on everything. It's hard. It's fucking hard. If you're training properly and you're trying to get better, you are working hard.
Mm.
Is it enjoyable? When you're in it, not really, because you're not thinking about how you feel. Like, because if you think about how you feel, you probably try and stop. Like, it's nothing to do with that. This is why the competitions are so important. And this is why seasons are so important as well, because you need time to rest off and recuperate and do all your reviews and stuff. And you need time to have like peak intensity, blah, blah, blah. And it's when you're competing that everything ties together. And that's when it all comes together. And that's when it's like, okay, now go away and have fun with it. Do show what you've got, show what you've learned, show what you can do, and just let your subconscious programming just fucking go away and do your patterns of behavior that make you play really well or perform really well and whatever the fuck it is you're doing. And add whatever artistic streak you need to it. and let's see where you actually place up against everyone and everything else.
Yeah.
And, like if you're not doing that, then what are you actually doing the hard training for?
I think the other element that I'd add to that is you need to make competition fair as well. So it's like if you're like, I'll go back to when we were playing cricket in the back garden, like you were a bit younger than I was, like barely able to hold the bat, and I would bowl at an appropriate speed, much like if Dad was bowling at us, he'd bowl at an appropriate speed. He wouldn't start zinging it down at 85 miles an hour, trying to take our heads off. Like it's got to be at an appropriate level to make sure that growth is actually a factor. So I think as soon as you go outside of the realms of fair competition, like if you talk like a 5-year-old kid and go, right, go and give the ball to a 12-year-old, right, bowl it as fast as you can and take his head off, it's not very fair. Same thing, if you're trying to help a kid develop and help a kid grow, you can't just go and zing one down at 90 miles an hour and say, deal with that. Like it's got to be an appropriate level. And there might be a situation where coaches, you can take note of this, there might be a situation where you would challenge and stretch the team and the individuals within it to perform to a level and in a scenario that they have not yet had to cope with. So I'm talking in this scenario, if you were playing in a football match, you might reduce the number of players on a team. You might go from 11 to 10, or if you're doing 6-a-side, 7-a-side, reduce your play. Like imagine like you're playing with a man sent off or with a player being sent off. Imagine you're dealing with that scenario. As long as you explain it to the person and the people that you're coaching and developing in a way that they understand it and they understand why they're doing it and why it's happening. Like if you say, right, I'm going to bowl some quicker balls at you now to see how you cope with it and to get you to react a little bit quicker, get you to read it and just judge the flight of a faster ball, you can go, oh, okay, I get that. I'm with you. And you're prepared for it. You mentally understand like it's going to come quicker and you go, whoa, fucking hell. And you might struggle to start with, but eventually you'll adapt and then you can continue to progress. And that's learning. So I think that make sure that competition, whether it's structured in a league format or playing for schools, things like that, it needs to be appropriate for level, ability, age, gender. And then also if it's in practice for development, it needs to be fair. It needs to be known why it's being structured in that way. And why you're fronting them with scenarios that you are doing. So I think if people can understand that, if the athletes understand it, they'll accept it and they'll learn from it and develop from there. And breathe. So that concludes our 8 ways to actually increase competition, build a bit more drive, and encourage that elite mindset, elite growth, elite development in kids. So hopefully coaches, parents, athletes, hopefully you've learned quite a bit from this episode. Chris, any closing remarks?
No, but I was just thinking then, I'm going to Google now, so you're going to have to carry on talking, why competitivity is so important. I'm going to try and find a statistic. Just talk to the people for a second.
What do you mean? Why is it so important? What statistic are you possibly looking for?
In the realms of every area of life. So if people are thinking, well, yeah, but that still doesn't explain why I should be competitive. That's just how I can be more competitive. Well, we're going to try and find and tell them exactly why.
Well, if you were to think about business, if you want your business to survive, you have to be doing deals, making hires, working with products and innovating that people want. And that's a competitive scenario. Like you might not be competing against another person per se. There might not be a league table, but you're competing against yourself. You're trying to grow. You're trying to improve yourself. So I don't understand why it's even in question. I don't even understand what stat you're looking for.
Not as in I'm. Hello?
Have you got it then yet? Have you found it, Chris?
Okay, so I found it. So it's posted on Forbes, and it's essential, the top essential skills and common traits. All right, listen to this. It's going to shock you, Alex. So we've got a strong vision. So these people have a strong vision. They have confidence, resilience, leadership skills, an understanding of themselves, and display a strong desire to be competitive and more successful than others. There it is. Forbes, people. Forbes.
And is that courtesy of who wrote it for Forbes? Who's it by?
Just closed it. It was by... How the fuck do I find out the author? Forbes Coaches Council.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll take the advice of Forbes because it fits our narrative and it's what we want to push. So we'll take that. Are you all right with it, Chris?
I'm just looking at it thinking Forbes Coaches Council. It doesn't seem the most reliable, does it? But it's on the Forbes page, so
okay. Well, we'll do our own version at some point from the Lenko Coaches Council. That's what we'll be called. That's what we'll call ourselves, the Lenko Coaches Council. So if you'd like some Lenko coaching counseling, then please get in touch. Do feel free to contact us via Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen to this. Drop us a comment, drop us a like. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram. We're going to be fucking everywhere. So don't miss out on a single thing we do, because we promise you we're only going to be dropping valuable shit, not just rants about transgender people. We're also going to be honest. We're going to be true to ourselves because it's important for you to do the same. And it's not with the impact or the idea of hurting anyone or offending anyone. If you feel offended by it, then that's only because you've seen something or you've interpreted it in your own manner. And Chris is itching to say something again. Go, Chris, go, what you want.
You're going to fucking love this. So alongside, if your shit's broken, fix it. A common sentence I've been using this week, Alex, and I want you to write this down, I want you to remember it, and I want you to say it to everyone. Just be tougher.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Just be tougher.
Do you know what? We'll round it out with that. If your shit's broken, fix it. And number 2, just be tougher.
Just be... Oh, did it upset you when he said that? Just be tougher. Just be a bit tougher.
Yeah. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is what you think about the problem.
Oh God, we're going all in on him now, aren't we?
I think that's courtesy of Epictetus from the Stoicism Bible. So always understand you are in control of your own mind. If you let anybody else in there and you lose it, you've lost. Good face, Chris. Right. Anyway, that concludes episode number 70 of the Lenko Show. It has been an absolute pleasure once again, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be doing more and more and more and more and more. And we've got some other exciting shit coming up for you as well. So keep on listening. Keep getting after it. Lenko out.
Peace and love.